The most dangerous thing Dorothy did that year was not taking fish oil while she was on a blood thinner. Millions of people do exactly that, safely. No, the most dangerous thing Dorothy did happened the moment she got scared. Dorothy was 74. She'd taken fish oil for years, for her heart and her aching joints, the way her doctor had once suggested. And she took a blood thinner too, a serious one, started after her heart had slipped into an irregular rhythm. That blood thinner had one job, a vital one: to stop a clot from forming and traveling to her brain, to stop a stroke. Then one evening, Dorothy saw a frightening headline: "Fish oil thins your blood," and it lodged in her mind like a splinter. She put the two things together and thought, well, if my fish oil is already thinning my blood and my pill is thinning my blood, then surely I'm taking far too much. Surely that's dangerous. So quietly, without telling a single soul, she made a decision. She stopped taking her blood thinner. She thought she was protecting herself. She had it exactly backwards. And a few weeks later, she felt the right side of her face go numb. Here's the truth that frightening headline never gave her. And it's the truth I want you to walk away with tonight. The question of fish oil and a blood thinner is real, and it's worth understanding properly. But the answer is calmer, and far more useful than fear would ever let you believe. And the single most dangerous move of all is the one Dorothy made in a moment of panic. So if you take fish oil, or you take a blood thinner, or both, please don't click away in fear. Read this first, exactly like the title says. Because by the end, you'll know how real this risk actually is, the few situations where it genuinely matters, the warning signs worth watching for, and the one thing you must never, ever do on your own. And the rule underneath all of it, say it with me, is this: it was never the fish oil. It was the silence. Quick and important, and today this matters more than ever. I'm not your doctor, and this is for learning, not medical advice. And please, hear this part clearly. Nothing in this video is a reason to stop taking a blood thinner your doctor has prescribed. That pill may be the very thing standing between you and a stroke. Stay with me, and you'll see exactly why. So let's start with the worry itself. Why do people put these two together and feel afraid? Because there's a grain of truth in it. Fish oil, the omega-3 inside it, really does have a mild effect on your blood. It makes the tiny cells that form clots, your platelets, a little less sticky. On its own, in a healthy person, that effect is gentle and usually a complete non-event. But a blood thinner is already working hard to keep your blood from clotting too easily. So the fish oil adds a gentle push in the same direction. And the fear is that the two together push too far and leave you bleeding too easily. That's the theory. Now here is what those frightening headlines almost always leave out. For most people, at the normal, everyday doses you'd find in a standard fish oil capsule, the research has actually been quite reassuring. Study after study has looked at people taking fish oil right alongside blood thinners and aspirin, and most have not found a meaningful jump in serious bleeding. Not zero risk, but far, far less drama than a one-line headline would have you believe. The gentle push tends to stay gentle. So no, fish oil is not some hidden poison waiting to undo your medication. For most people, taken sensibly, with a professional aware of it, it simply is not the emergency the internet makes it sound like. It was never the fish oil. It was the silence. But, and this matters a great deal, there are a few specific situations where this genuinely deserves real caution. So before we get to them, do something for me. Go and find your fish oil bottle. Pick it up. Turn it around and look at the dose, the number of milligrams or grams you take per day. Keep it right there in your hand, because this next part depends entirely on that number. Here is where the risk stops being just theory and becomes real. The first is high doses. There is a world of difference between an ordinary fish oil capsule and the high-strength, prescription-level omega-3, 3-4 grams a day or more. At those large doses, the blood-thinning effect is no longer gentle, and combined with a blood thinner, the bleeding risk becomes something to take seriously. With this, more is not better, more is the problem. Second is surgery, and any procedure that draws blood, even a dental visit. In the days around an operation, that gentle thinning is the very last thing you want, and it's exactly why surgeons ask you to pause fish oil beforehand. If you have anything scheduled, this is a must-tell. The third is stacking. If, on top of your blood thinner and your fish oil, you're also taking a daily aspirin, or one of those everyday painkillers we talked about last time, then you are now pushing your blood from several directions at once. And that is when a gentle push can finally become a shove. And in any of these situations, it helps to simply know what too thin actually looks like, so you can catch it early. Watch for bruises that appear for no reason, nosebleeds that come often or won't quit, gums that bleed, pink or red in your urine, stools that look black or tarry, or a small cut that just won't stop. None of these mean panic. All of them mean pick up the phone and call your doctor. Your body usually whispers long before it ever shouts. So here is what to actually do. And the very first one is the single most important thing in this entire video. First, never stop a blood thinner your doctor prescribed because a headline scared you, the way Dorothy did. That blood thinner is very likely preventing a stroke, and a stroke is a catastrophe far, far larger than the bleeding risk we are carefully managing here. If you are worried, you do not quit, you call. That one rule could save your life. It was never the fish oil, it was the silence. Second, simply tell your doctor or your pharmacist that you take fish oil. That's the whole thing. The danger was never the supplement sitting quietly beside your medication. It was that nobody knew it was there. Once it's on your list, out loud, a professional can weigh it in seconds and tell you whether your dose is perfectly fine or whether it should change. Third, don't megadose on your own. If a normal capsule is what your doctor is comfortable with, resist the urge to swallow handfuls of the high-strength kind just because more feels healthier. Alongside a blood thinner, it isn't. Fourth, if you take the older blood thinner, the one that needs regular blood tests, keep those appointments. Those tests are precisely how your doctor sees whether anything, fish oil included, has tipped your balance, long before it ever becomes a problem. And the words to say are simple. I take fish oil along with my blood thinner. Is my dose safe? And is there anything I should watch for? That one question quietly replaces 1,000 frightening headlines. Your one small step tonight. Look at your fish oil dose, and notice whether you take it alongside a blood thinner, an aspirin, or a daily painkiller. If you do, write it down, and make that your phone call this week. Not to quit anything, just to ask. And Dorothy? Her numb face, thankfully, turned out to be a warning, and not a tragedy. A brief one that passed. The doctors restarted the blood thinner that had been protecting her, took a good look at her fish oil, and finally gave her the truth she'd never been handed. At her dose, taken together, with their eyes on it, she was fine. The fish oil had never been her enemy. Hiding it, and then panicking over it, very nearly was. It was never the fish oil. It was the silence. So remember, fish oil gives your blood a gentle nudge, and for most people, at a sensible dose, taken alongside a blood thinner that your doctor knows about, it is far less frightening than the headlines scream. The real risks live in high doses, in surgery, and in stacking. And the one move you must never make is quitting a prescribed blood thinner out of fear. If a scary headline ever made you want to stop a medication, type the words "eyes open" in the comments. Because the answer to fear was never panic. It was always information. And if you love someone who takes both fish oil and a blood thinner, send them this video before a frightening headline reaches them first. That is how we look after each other. Because there's one more warning I owe you, and this time it isn't a supplement at all. It's a food. Something you might pour yourself for breakfast tomorrow morning. Something you'd swear was perfectly healthy. That does the opposite of everything we talked about today. Instead of gently nudging your blood, it makes certain heart and blood pressure medications far too strong, flooding your body with more of the drug than your doctor ever intended. Most people drink it without a single second thought. And on the wrong medication, it can be genuinely dangerous. That's the next video. Subscribe so it reaches you in time. And I'll see you there.